Why, hello there, Nice Tail here. I hope this video finds you well today. And today, whatever, already going to go crazy. I'm bringing you a review. Full review, this is a full length. There is going to be a shorter summary sort of overview coming later of this knife that will be more palatable to some people, but this is the full length review with the specs and everything and the talking and the blah and the blah. And this is going to also be a little bit of a bitchy one. I'll be honest, I'm going to come down on this thing hard because it's cool. It's an enthusiast knife. It is not a great knife though. it's just not. This is the Vanguard Nakiri, designed by Tough Knives, which is a custom maker out of PA, USA. Let us jump into, and well, I've already given you the preface. I'm going to come down on a bit hard. It's just there are some strange decisions and some strange oversights in this knife. Simple as that. And I'm going to have to hit on them. But let's jump into specs. About 3 5/8 of blade. 8 1/4 overall. Handle length is maybe 4 5/8 ish. Approximates. Pretty close though. You're awfully close to 3.5 and 4.5 and 8 and something overall. Pretty standard full-size knife. In fact, comparison to our full-size Conspirator and the small Elementum, it is very, very close in size to the Conspirator. It is a bit longer, but it's mostly the snub nose up here. Honestly, it's definitely a full-size knife. It's not small, not medium, not large. Ooh, I'm moving at a brisk pace today. Thickness compared to the Conspirator. It's just a bit thinner. Just a bit thinner. And one last comparison is the AA battery comparison. AA battery comparison says, for grip length, you have just under 2 AA batteries. You do have this area up here, but as in many other elements of this knife, it's not been addressed as to be as useful as it could be. You can be up here, you can do it, but it's not like super comfortable or anything like that. It's certainly not been addressed to be used as any sort of choil or anything like that. It's fine, but it's not there. Mostly you're doing back here, and you definitely have, I have a full 4-finger grip on it. No problem there. Hardware, I think this is the T8. And T8 all around, in fact, including the insert, lock bar insert. Vanguard does seem to do T8s all the way around. A lot of things they do, very smart. Some of their decisions, not so much. And this one is a big old hallmark of that. Weight is 5 ounces. It's a titanium frame lock with a big old thick slab of steel. It's pretty reasonable. If you don't like carrying that weight, well, you're going to have to look for a lighter weighter knife, right? 5 ounces and just about half an inch wide, which is just a bit thinner than the Conspirator, as I said. 156 thousandths on the blade stock, unnecessarily thick. And this is going to be a big pain because, as you can kind of probably see, the edge bevel grows from small to large. It is the way it's been done. It is intentional. It is a gigantic pain in the butt. Okay, so basically back at the heel of the blade, it's about 20 thousandths. And I believe I already checked this once. Yeah, up at the front of the blade, it basically transitions from about 20 thousandths to 60 thousandths behind the edge. It gets really thick. It is a thick blade. The geometry is thick. The edge is thick. It's not a great cutter. It does go through cardboard surprisingly well back here, but as soon as you start to push up into this area, it sort of just tears the cardboard. And paper and thinner things, just it doesn't like them. It's not a particularly great cutter. Which, it's a knife. It should be, but it's not. So I think that's all of our specs. So let's just start talking about this. First of all, titanium frame lock, M390 blade, semi-mirror finish on this particular one in this snub nose cleaverish kind of shape. It is on bearings, and one thing Vanguard does do is its bearing action is pretty darn great. This one is a very nice slow controlled drop shot. Okay. General stuff talked about here. In fact, wow, I'm really moving on the review. Now is where it slows the hell down. Okay. Blade shape is not super practical, but it's not impractical. It could be made to work. It's fine. The thickness, however, is not. It's a knife that does not really do a very good job of being a knife. This is design over everything else. Take that for what you will. As an enthusiast, I like it. I'll say it right now. I like this knife. I'm keeping this knife. It's going to be part of my collection. It's cool, but I'm keeping it because it's cool, not because it's a good knife. It's fun, but it's not great. It does have a decent edge. It came with a decent edge, but as you can probably see, wow, is it thick behind the tip. It is very thick, and it does not particularly love going through a lot of certain materials. So, do with that what you will. Would it probably have been better just to make this whole thing? They could probably have gotten the same increasing size of the bevel here and just done the whole thing in the form of a hollow grind to give it some actual cutting potential? Yes, they definitely could have. They didn't. Strange decision? Number 1, basically. The Vanguard and Tough Knife logos are down here on the bevel. I hate seeing them on the bevel in particular, man. I don't like seeing too much on the blade in general, as far as branding and stuff like that goes. Distorted version of my face. I hate seeing it down here. Vanguard and Knoll knives in particular are two terrible offenders when it comes to putting their logos down here on the bevels. I prefer it on the flats or off there in general. Vanguard logo would look fine on the pivot. The Tough Knives logo could be smaller, right up there. I'm going to complain about it every time because I hate seeing it down here. But I will also give this particular knife a bit of a pass because there's not a ton of room to put it up there, and if you're not going to get inventive with it, then you pretty much only got there to do it. So, fine, whatever. Sharpening jaw and plunge grind is great. Vanguard seems to do that pretty well. Of course, you're not really going to want to sharpen this knife very much because it's going to be a nightmare with how thick it gets, but it's decent. And they also did the nub, which is the little nub back here in the tang that allows the stop pin to be placed in a position where it's not hitting the edge or behind the edge. So, good job there. They seem to be good about addressing where the stop pin goes, which again, Vanguard is doing some things really well and some things really bizarrely. One of the big sales pitches here is this finish. This is a semi-mirror. It comes in Stonewash DLC, semi-mirror DLC, and regular and full mirror and a full mirror DLC. This is their semi-mirror DLC. Also a Vanguard design, also a Tough Knife design. This is the non-DLC variant of that finish. It's beautiful. It's great. Does it justify its price point by itself, what you're actually looking at here? Yes. By itself, I can say that. Even a semi-mirror is going to add a lot of price. I mean, the full mirror version of this is $500. The semi-mirror version of this is $380. The regular version of this is $330? $330, $340. If I remember correctly. I didn't, of course, buy that version, so I'm not off the top of my head. With the extra embellishments, the inlay or underlay in this case of Timascus, and inclusion of pivot collar and other details, and the overall execution of many of the details with the steel, the titanium, and everything like that, you're looking at a price point that is very competitive with with a lot of its contemporaries, but you're also getting a usually pretty expensive finish. So yeah, price point's good. Price point on this was even better. I mean, this one was like, this is S35VN and steel, but it's still got a extremely rarely seen finish on this dang thing. And, it's becoming a little more common now, but it's still a price thing that would normally make the price much higher, and this was like $260, so, yeah. Pricing, they seem to be doing a pretty good job over there. Now we get to the final element of the actual blade, and this is the big problem. First of the main big problems. This fuller. This is the only actuation method. They could have actually put probably a flipper tab right here and just had it stick out here, as this area was not really meant to be gripped on in the first place because it's not super comfortable. It probably wouldn't have made a difference, but they could have given you a second actuation method. They didn't. Fuller is it. This fuller, whether it is a byproduct of, I don't know how the regular stonewash variant is, but whether it is a byproduct of the extra attention from the mirror semi and mirror polishing, this fuller is extremely soft. There is nothing to grip onto here. It is basically not there. Not even down here at the lowest point, there's nothing to grip on. I cannot thumb flick this knife. It is impossible. At least on this one. I don't know if some of them aren't. Maybe mine has a heavier detent. But even without a even just like, I can barely move this knife forward with this fuller. It's just completely soft. It is smooth. It just doesn't work. You can reverse flick this knife open. It, as you could just see, was not super consistent. Sometimes you get a really good flick. Sometimes it slips out and you kind of get this funky flick. Usually, I find if I go right around this area with the middle finger, I can get it consistently, but even then, sometimes it's not the most satisfying if you don't use some wrist, like right there. Complete fail. Not intentional. It's not undoable or unusable, but it's not good. This is a bad element and a weird oversight. The actuation method on this knife is just, it's not great. You've got a thick, heavy blade, you've got a reasonably strong detent, you got a frame lock that you're already pushing on. You really have to just sort of hope that you get it. So, yeah, not a great idea. The action is beautiful. Vanguard's action is good. Beautiful controlled drop shot. No problem there. There is no side-to-side play. The blade is centered, but you also notice that on mine, the grind is much deeper on one side. They're very it's a little bit higher up, like the cutting bevel is a little bit taller on this side than this side. Not too bad. They're pretty consistent for the most part. It sort of evens itself out as it goes back, but it's definitely deeper. The angle is much deeper, and this one's much more shallow. Does that affect anything? No, it makes the tip look a little, or the cutting tip look off-center, but the actual blade itself is centered, and again, no play. And I can use my ring finger on this one pretty easily because this is where you want to live, from here down. It honestly might be better to flick it with the ring finger than anything else. So if this isn't strong or you're not good at that, you're gonna have some troubles. This is honestly might be a two-handed knife for some people. That is, of course, a big problem and a weird, strange oversight to make. We've got Timascus pivot collars. Very nice. We've got a Timascus underlay, let's call it. It is screwed in down there into the actual body, which is nice to see. It's not just like epoxied or anything like that. No, it's screwed in there. And it's nice. It's good looking. It's got some really nice color and deep, rich blues to it. It does violate my no design element on just the show side, because I usually like it to carry through, but because of the Timascus pivot collars, it kind of does. So I'm not going to complain about it too much there. It's fine. It's still an interesting enough knife that I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to say that's not a problem. If it was just on one side and it wasn't there, it would probably bother me, because I'm picky about those kinds of things. I like design elements carrying through to both sides of the knife, but it's cool enough and interesting enough that I will make an exception, and it's not really that much of an exception because, well, there is some Timascus there. Again, picky and bitchy today, particularly. Moving on from there, you have a backspacer. Very nice backspacer, actually. I quite like the backspacer and the way it's been executed. It's very solid, works perfectly fine. Very rigid, solid knife. Decently thick titanium handles, as you can kind of see. Hopefully. Pocket clip is a milled pocket clip. It is not a deep carry pocket clip, but it's surprisingly not terrible. It's medium carry depth. It does have good flex, good retention. There is a nice little flat landing zone on, so you're not dealing with this diamond pattern underneath, because that would be bad. It is not reversible. Well, I mean, you can see why it's not reversible, but it's not reversible. Sorry, lefties. Also, notice, in and out of the pocket, it's actually quite decent. There are some elements about it, but it actually works really well. Because you have these cutouts here, they really offer extra traction. Your finger sort of pushes down into them, and yeah. In and out of the pockets, it's pretty easy. So good that job there. Lock bar access is... You got a tiny bit of lock bar... Actually, you don't really have any lock bar access sticking out. It is bolted on either side, and while you can't come from, like, directly from the side, just a slight diagonal is easy enough. And, of course, the nub also functions as a stop to hit the blade, so you're not going to drop this giant heavy blade into your finger, which is always nice to see. And from there, very, very good action. Again, Vanguard knows what they're doing there. Now we come to the diamond patterning. It looks great. It does. But this is another element of this knife that I would say is just almost bad. It's a good idea. It looks great. It is an oversight in execution. And it compounds with this fuller. Because, first of all, these edges here for the cutouts, which would be hard to chamfer and everything, but they're not really chamfered. They're not super sharp, and they'd probably be okay by themselves, but as soon as you put the diamond pattern over it, they get a bit sharp. Not unpleasant, but a bit sharp. The diamond pattern in itself is very aggressive. This is a kind of a sharp diamond pattern. If you hit it from the wrong angle, like right this angle, going across the diamonds, it's pretty sharp. It's not the most pleasant thing to interact with. There have been diamond patterns on other knives that are much, much more comfortable to interface with. I don't know if it's just because they're small and they're deep and they haven't been, like, maybe needed stonewashing or something to smooth them down. They're very aggressive. Very aggressive. Too aggressive for this. And then you have these angles that it compound with, and then you have the fact that the whole thing is sort of, what's it called, like shadow boxed in here, with the handle sticking out. This transition, you have smooth transition, then you have a little bit of gully, and then you have into the edge of the diamond pattern. This edge of this diamond pattern that's already aggressive because of the diamond pattern is pretty hard edge. And it's not super comfortable. Like, just doing this, I'm pushing my finger into it, but you can, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, like, you can see it almost like grating the top layer of my skin. Like, it's really, really aggressive if you push your hand into this thing. Which is a problem, because you kind of have to push in your hand into this thing and grip it tighter to make sure you get enough leverage to throw this knife, because of the way they've done the fuller. That's why I said these issues compound against one another. It's mostly when you use your index finger, and basically when you press with your thumb, if you press too low with your thumb, like right here. If I'm up here, it's not as bad, but I don't get the leverage. But if I go down here with the thumb, I'm right on the edge of this. And of course, because I'm gripping down tight, as I flick this way, my thumb sort of pulls this way. It sort of pulls that. And that pushes me right into this sharp edge, into these edges right here. So I'm hitting on that transition, or cutout. And occasionally, if you hit just the right spot, like right there, see how, basically what happens is, you finally get through the detent, the pressure you've built up from pressing your thumb into the knife gets released, and what happens? The knife sort of pulls this way and twists this way, and your thumb goes this way. And right there, that moment of going, whoop, right into that, well, you can kind of see what it's doing to my thumb. There's a divot in it. It's not comfortable. Not at all. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes you find just that right spot and it's like, oh, okay, that one's fine. Sometimes it hits on the edge and on the end of things. And it's like issues compounding on each other. And strange things. Like, I would expect this to be a little bit better finished. I would expect them to have addressed the fact that this thing is so slick. There are two issues that by themselves could probably be addressed, and then when you combine them, sometimes it just makes for an unpleasant actuation. It's not a sort of fidgety sort of knife at all. So, is this a cool knife? Yes. As I've already said, it's going to stay in my collection. I like it. Is it a good knife? You know, all the things that it needs to be a knife? No. It's kind of not. It's not a great cutter. It's not a great actuation. It's kind of just like failing to be a good pocket knife. And it's strange because they've like addressed this cutout edge, which is usually my complaint. I say these cutout edges are really oftentimes, especially on like say some Wii's and stuff like that, can be sharp. This is addressed pretty well. They put a nice chamfer on that. And it's a super small. You can see how small that chamfer is right there. If they had just done that to that and then made this a little bit softer and then sharpened up these edges or didn't, I mean, it's just going in and taking some chamfer to build up a little bit of softened and hardened edge. Would make this thing dramatically better by itself. But it wasn't done. So it has already got geometry and sort of function issues. And also, by the way, even with this flat underneath the pocket clip, this is aggressive enough diamond pattern that while it may not be pinching into your pocket, it's still probably going to start biting into your pocket. It's going to. It's that aggressive. At least on mine. Maybe mine's weird. I don't know. I've only gotten to check out one, but yeah. Is it a cool knife? Yes. Is it a reasonably priced knife for what you're getting and what's actually presented here? Yes. Is it a kind of poorly designed knife? Yes. Is it a kind of poorly functional knife? Yes. It is. It just is. So, I can't say it's recommendable. Unless you're an enthusiast like me, and you like it because of what it is, and the way it is. Other than that, no thank you. But, yeah, I don't know. I've noticed that seems to be a consistent thing with Vanguard. They need to work on thinner geometry in general, and maybe just some of the finer finishing elements need to be addressed. Like, even on this one, the pocket clip is not the greatest pocket clip in the world. Just little things after the fact that need to be, like, going back in and maybe a little more cooking needs to be done before they serve the plate, right? So, that is everything I have to say about this one. I'm going to end things here. Not the worst in length, not the shortest, but it is a full review. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Consider liking and subscribing, and have a great day.